So today I'm going to show you how to publish your Flutter app to the Play Store. Now the reason why I'm making this is because I was actually watching another tutorial and I got lost and confused and ran into quite a few issues that I ended up having to solve on my own. So today I'm going to be going over all the issues that you may run into and how to solve them, including a very important mistake that I made that almost screwed me over and I almost lost access to my app on the Play Store. Now for today, since this is just an example, I'm just going to be using the default project, the default app that you get when you create a Flutter project. So we're going to be building a AAB file from this and upload it to the Play Store. Now the first thing that you need to do is to create the launcher icon. Now to do that, we're going to go through the documentation. So first you're going to go to Google and you want to type Flutter launcher icons and click on this link right here. Then you want to scroll down and this right here, you need to add these dependencies to your PubSpec file. So first we're going to add the dependency for the launch icon. So copy this. Then we're going to go to your PubSpec YAML file. Then you want to paste it right here. Next we're going to add some more stuff. So we're going to add this right here. Now you can skip this part down here because this part, as you can see, is for like macOS, Windows and so on. But in our case we're doing Android, so we don't need this stuff. The only thing that we really need is this stuff right here. So copy this. Then you just want to paste this somewhere down here. Now right here, since we're doing Android, we don't need iOS, so I usually set this to false. But if you're doing iOS, then you just leave this to true. Now right here is a path to our icon image. Now what we're going to do is that we're going to create a folder called assets. So you go to your directory and you create a folder called assets. Now depending on what app you're building, you may already have a folder called assets. In that case, you can just use that folder, but in our case we don't have a folder, so we're going to create a new one. Now we're going to add your icon to it. So my icon is right here. I'm going to copy this, add it to assets. Then you need the name of the icon. Copy this. And you need to remove this folder right here because we don't have the icon folder. Then you want to add the name of the icon. So this. And in our case, our image is PNG. So we have PNG right here. But of course, if you have something different like JPG or SVG, you just use the extension for that. But in our case, we're using PNG, so we put PNG. And so this is basically path to our image, which is, again, we just place it in the assets folder. Now at this point, you can save this and run the command. Now one thing to note is that these commands right here, they don't work. Now, I'm not sure if I was doing something incorrect or what, but when I tried this command, they weren't working and the icon wasn't showing up. Now the command that I use that works is this one right here that says Flutter pub run Flutter launch icons. So this is the one that I use that works. So I want to copy that. Then you want to run it. And as you can see right here, it says add a new launcher icon. So if you see this right here, then that means it works. So if you don't see this, then you know that okay, something is probably wrong. And you're probably using the wrong command or something. But once you see this right here, then that lets you know that okay, the command did work and the icon is now set. So now I'm going to restart my emulator and see if the icon is there. Okay, so the icon is not there and this is like one small issue. Now just simply restarting the app, sometimes it doesn't work. And so in that case, what you want to do is that you want to uninstall the app and reinstall it again. So I'm going to uninstall this. And then you just want to reinstall it again by just simply restarting the app. And now as you can see, now that I restarted the app, the icon is there. When you click on it, the icon is there. So yeah, if you just simply try to restart and you don't see the icon, then try uninstalling the app and restart it again, and then the icon should show up, assuming you did everything correctly. Now let's create the Keystore. Now you want to go to Google and type in build AAB Flutter. Then you want to click on this link. Then you want to scroll down. And so this right here is the command to create a Keystore. Now you're going to select the command based on the platform that you're on. So in my case, I'm on Windows, so I'll select this one. But in your case, if you're on a MacBook or Linux, then you use this one up here. So yeah, you want to copy this command right here. Now what this is going to do is that it's going to ask you some information. So like your name, your city and so on. Now, technically you could enter fake information if you want. But make sure you remember the information that you enter. But yeah, you don't have to put like your actual real information if you don't want to. But yeah, I'm gonna run this command. So first it asks for a password. Now make sure you remember the password that you enter. And as you can see, when I was typing the password, nothing shows up. Oh no, that's normal. And even though nothing is showing up, the password is being typed. So that's one thing to keep in mind. So, you know, if you're typing and you don't see anything, then don't worry. That's how it is. It's just not gonna show up even though, you know, the password is actually being typed. And so now you can just enter information. Again, you can enter fake information if you want. It doesn't have to be like your actual information. And now the Keystore file is created. Now this is where things become very important, and this is a mistake that I made that almost screwed me over. Now your Keystore file is stored in this folder. It's usually in like the root folder. So let me go there right now. So this is the Keystore file that I just created. Now notice that the name of the Keystore file is upload-keystore. Now the thing is, every time you create a Keystore file for an app, they're going to create a file right here with the same exact name. Now this is an issue because if you have multiple apps, like for example, let's say, you know, I just created a Keystore file for this app, right? Now let's say I try to create a Keystore file for another app. Well, it's going to try to add the Keystore file to this folder. But as you know, with Windows, if you have a file in a folder and you try to add another file with the same exact name, then what Windows is going to do is that it's going to overwrite the file. It's not going to delete it, meaning that you can't get the file back from the recycle bin. It's going to overwrite it, meaning that it's going to completely erase the data that's already there and replace it with a new one. And so that's the mistake that I made. So the first time I did this, I had the file right here for my first app, and then my second app I created a second Keystore file. However, that Keystore file, it overwrote the first Keystore file that I had, and I basically completely lost the Keystore file for my first app. So that's something you definitely want to avoid. Now to avoid this, you can just simply rename this, which is what I started doing. And also another benefit of renaming it is that if you open this, as you can see, this is complete garbage, right? So if you have multiple apps and each app, the Keystore file is called upload, then you're not going to know like, okay, which file is for which app, because everything, if you open it, it's complete garbage and all the files are called upload, so you don't know which file belongs to which app. So I would highly recommend, like when you create a Keystore file, you basically rename this. Now I typically just rename it to the name of my app. In this case, I'm going to call it like demo, and that's it. That's all you have to do. But make sure you keep this file, because if you lose this file, then you won't be able to update your app on the Play Store. And that's what I mean when I say that I almost lost access to my app, because if you lose the Keystore file, then you cannot update your app. Now the thing is that if your app is signed by Google Play, which the process that we're using right now, your app will be signed by Google Play. In that case, you can create another Keystore file, then create a certificate and upload the certificate to Google Play Store, and everything will be fine, which I'm going to show you how to do that stuff later. However, if the app is signed by you and then you lose the Keystore file, then yeah, you're basically screwed and you cannot update your app on the Play Store. In that case, your only option is that if you want to update your app, you're going to have to create a new listing, but you cannot update the app if you lose the Keystore. But yeah, assuming you're using this method and the app is going to be signed by Google Play, I'm going to show you how you can create a certificate and upload a new Keystore file. But I'm going to show you that when I get to the Google Play console section. Now, next thing we want to do is that we want to go to our Android build file. So I'm going to scroll down. Okay, so first we want to copy this code right here. So the first one is this import statement. You want to copy these and paste it in your build creative file. So let's go there. Now you have two build creative files. You have this one, but this is not the one that we want. The one that we want is over here in the app. This one right here. So this one we do not want. This one, the one that we want is this one that has like the Android, the compile option, this stuff. So this is one that we want. The first one to paste the import statement, which is very important, because if you don't have these, then you're gonna get errors and it's not gonna work. And again, this is another mistake that I made, because in the other video I was watching, that guy, he didn't paste any important statement. The statement was there, but he didn't mention it or anything. And so, you know, I kind of got confused and wondering, okay, why am I getting errors and so on. But yeah, you need the import statements. So I just paste those right there. Then next, you want to copy these. Now another very important point is that I also got confused because I was looking at this and this code was different from what I was seeing in the tutorial, and I was kind of confused, like, why does my code look different from the code that I was seeing? Well, it turns out the reason is because, as you can see, there's two options. You have Kotlin and you have Groovy, which, both of these are slightly different. And basically, you cannot use Groovy in Kotlin. But in my case, as you can see, my files are Kotlin, and you know that it's Kotlin because you have the KTS and you have this orange logo right here. So that lets you know that your file is Kotlin. So yeah, if you have the Kotlin file, you have to use the Kotlin code. You cannot use the Groovy code. But yeah, I'm going to go to Kotlin and I'm going to copy this right here. And you can just copy and paste this. And just paste this right here on the plugins. Now you want to scroll down. Now this is another issue that I run into. Now by default, this is what I have. I'm not sure if this is the same for everyone, but in my case, this is the code that I got. Now the thing is that this is actually deprecated. Now recently there was an update that basically this does not work anymore. This is deprecated, so I was running into errors and so on. And yeah, it's because this is deprecated and doesn't work anymore. Instead, you have to use, you want to erase this. And what you want to use is this code right here. Remove this. So this code right here is what you want to use. So this is the newer version. So you want to use this. Now right here I said 17. That's because I'm using Java 17. But in your case, you're probably using like 22 or something. So you want to put like the version that you're using. But in my case, I'm using 17. So I put 17. But yeah, you want to use this code right here because the previous one, that's deprecated and no longer usable. Another thing is right here, like I saw in the tutorial, the guy, he was changing this, like he was manually changing this to numbers and so on, which to me didn't really make any sense. But the thing is that if you manually change the numbers, then you're gonna have to manually keep it updated. Now with this right here, it basically leave the update to Flutter, so Flutter will always automatically update this, so you don't have to worry about it. But if you do change these and put numbers, then that means that you're gonna have to manually update these every single time there is some kind of update that needs to be made. But I just keep mine on default and let Flutter handle all the updates and everything. But it's up to you, whichever you want to do. Next, I'm going to scroll down and get the sign-in config. So I'm going to copy this. And then you want to paste it right here. Now this code right here depends on the import statements up here. These. So if you don't put the import statements up there, then you're going to get errors right here. But if you put the statement, then everything should be good. This should work. And then the last thing, you want to copy this. Then you can just paste this right here. And that's it. Now a small thing I forgot to mention is that in the pub/spec YAML file, now right there we have a version number. Now right now it's fine. You can just leave it as is, but if you want to update this, your app, you're going to have to change this number right here. So technically you can change it to anything you want, but I typically go in incremental order, so 2, then 3, then 4. But every time you update your app, you're gonna have to change the number. Reason being is that if you leave it on the same number, then when you try to upload your file to the Play Store, you're gonna get an error saying that you've already used this version number. So basically, if you've already used a version number, you cannot reuse it again. You have to use a different one. So for the first one, you can just leave it as is. But when you do an update, you have to change it. So I usually do like 2, then 3, then 4, and so on. But yeah, just keep that in mind. Now at this point, you can build an AAB file. So you can do Flutter build app bundle to create the AAB file that you're going to upload to the Play console. So let's run this. Oh wait, never mind. I forgot one important thing. You need to import the Keystore file. Okay, so you're going to go to Android, create a new file called key.properties. And now you're going to import your Keystore file. So first you have your password that you created. This is my password. Obviously you're going to use your password. And then you're going to point to the location where the file is currently at. So in my case, the file is currently right here. And so you just want to copy the name of the file. And this is the path to the file. And then you put the name of the file right here. Yeah, and so this is basically just a path to the file and where it is stored. So you want to save this. And so now you want to run the command to build the AAB file. Okay, and so now the AAB file has been created in this folder right here. and this is the AAB file, and so you're gonna go to the Google Play console and you're gonna upload this file right here. This is your app. Okay, now let's upload the app to the Play console. Now once you get access to the Play console, you want to click on create app, and then you just enter the name of your app and so on, and click next, and then you're gonna get to this part. Now this is the dashboard. Now uploading the app is fairly straightforward, but they do ask you a bunch of questions which is very tedious and annoying. Like I think it's here, right here. They ask you a bunch of questions. Now I'm not gonna go over everything, reason being is because everything is just straightforward, and sitting there and watching me going over all of this stuff is very boring or whatever. So, and watching me go over everything is very boring. I don't think you want to see that, but again, it's very straightforward. There's nothing like you need to know or any trick or tips or anything. It's basically literally just questions about the app. So they ask like, what data do you collect? Are the ads targeting, what kind of app, the category and so on. So just information about the app, very straightforward. The only thing I want to mention, or the only thing that you need to know, is that depends on the type of app that you're building. There are certain restrictions, like for example, you can see our government apps and financial and so on. So certain apps, like for example, I remember I saw one that says like if you have a banking app, then you can only distribute it, your banking app can only be distributed by a organization. So certain categories have special like requirements and so on. But apart from that, everything is very straightforward. If you're just playing like a regular app, like a regular video game or something, then that stuff doesn't really matter. So one thing I should mention is that you do need to have a privacy policy. Now they do force you to build a website and host it on a website, which is kind of annoying, but your website doesn't need to be fancy. It could just be a very simple file with just some text. Yeah, like you don't need any animation or anything, just a simple HTML file and that's fine. You can host it on like Cloudflare or Vercel or GitHub or whatever. It doesn't really matter, but they just need to have like a website where people can view your privacy policy. Yeah, but you can just create a simple file, doesn't really matter. But yeah, you paste the link right here and that's it. And make sure you have like a link inside the app itself that either show your privacy policy or navigate to the page with the privacy policy. But yeah, you must have a privacy policy. Also the privacy policy basically just explain like how you use the user's data. So do you collect data, like why do you collect data and so on. That's basically it. Another thing you need to know is that you need 12 testers for 14 days to basically test your app if you want to upload the app to the Play Store. Now I know many of you may not have like 12 people to help you out, and you maybe don't have a social media following of people to help you out or anything like that. Now how I got my testers is from Reddit. Now the first time I did this, it took me like around 3 to 4 days to get 12 testers, and in the end I ended up getting like around 15 people to test out my app, around 15 to 20. So yeah, the second app that I did, which was recently, I got all 12 testers in just one day, so it's pretty quick. And even yesterday I got an email saying that the first app that I was testing, my app got approved. So this process, it really does work. You just go to Reddit and you can search for like Android testing, and there's like quite a few groups, but the main one I think is Android testing, and you can just post in that group asking people to help you test your app, and you can get people to help you out, and that's basically what I did. And I was able to get 12 people for 14 days. And my app is now still another review process. Like after the initial 14 days, there's still another review process, but yeah, they basically sent me an email saying that my app basically passed the closed testing phase, and now it's in review to release publicly. But yeah, if you want testers, you can just go to Reddit. Now for the next issue that I mentioned earlier, where you may lose your Keystore. Now in that situation, what would you do? Now keep in mind, as I said before, if you sign the app yourself, then you're screwed. There's nothing you can do. But in our case, if you use the method that I just showed you, then the app will be signed by Google Play, and then in that case you can just create a new Keystore file and upload it. Now to do this, all you have to do is, well, first of all, create a new Keystore file using the same step that I showed you earlier. So the command that you run to create a Keystore file, you just want to rerun that command again, and that's going to create another Keystore file. Now once you do that, you want to navigate to the directory and you want to run this command right here. So this command, it basically creates a certificate which you're going to upload to the Google Play Store. So you run this and it creates a certificate of the Keystore file, and then you want to come in here and go and test and release. Go into app integrity, but anyways, you want to scroll down and you should see a button somewhere right here that says request. I don't remember what it is. It says request something, but since I haven't uploaded my file yet, so it's not showing for me. But in your case, you're going to see a button that says request key or request something like that. You just want to click on that button and upload the file, and they're going to ask you like, why do you want to upload a new Keystore or whatever. And you can just select any option, doesn't really matter. Just tell them that you lost your Keystore file and then you want to upload the certificate. And then in my case, the new certificate would it became available in like 2 days. I'm not sure if it's the same case for every single person, but in my case they said it in 2 days it will start working. And so I waited like 2 days, and now it's working. You just upload the certificate and that's basically it. But anyways, if you have any questions, let me know.